Okay, welcome back to All Things Parking, and we're here at the LAZ Charity Golf Tournament for Chicago Special Olympics. And Danny Crane, why don't you tell us where you're at, because you're not here.
We're not all in Chicago, but I am currently in Italy on a big birthday trip. But definitely this wanted to make this a priority. So thank you guys for also Tony. Thank you for taking the time to do this with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, so we have Tony DiPaolo here, who is Chicago-based with LAZ Parking, Senior Vice President, and he has been running this golf tournament for charity for a long time.
Yeah, well, thank you both for having me. I'm excited to do this, and glad that you guys are doing all great things in the podcast world and bringing parking to the masses. And John and I are sitting here in, like we said, rainy Chicago, and Danny's sitting in the beautiful Amalfi Coast. So God bless technology.
Absolutely. So Tony, this is the 11th annual golf charity tournament. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the charity, the history of the tournament, and how you got to your 11th year? First, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
But first, hey, Danny, I want to hear how he's got into parking and what he's telling his parents he does.
Well,
can we also have to say, Tony?
Yeah,
there's a special connection here. Yeah. So I would say that I'm from a little town in western New Mexico, Gallup, New Mexico, which most people fly through on I-40. They don't stop. And randomly, I think I was sitting in Denver with you, John, and we're talking, and you mentioned New Mexico, and some of the people at the table turned and said, "I'm from New Mexico," and it was Danny Crane, and we found out that not only is she from New Mexico, but from the same hometown, and she grew up 7 houses away from where I grew up.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Yeah, we grew right down the street.
Gallup, New Mexico, pumping out parking executives since 1976. So,
boy, man, that's quite a story. I just realized we did talk about that. Danny and Tony, right in the same town. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But so what do you tell your parents?
Well, yeah, I got into parking like everybody else did. We all went to college and got a PhD in parking. No, I grew up in New Mexico, school in Colorado, moved to the East Coast to get my MBA, and decided I wanted to work in sports, and ended up working for Boston College in the athletic department, doing game facility operations. And my first introduction to parking in LAZ was a BC home football game, 2:00 in the morning, when I met Jeff Karp and Mark Lutwack as they were setting up parking barricades. And I didn't really fall in love with parking, but I fell in love with those guys. The way that they treated their people, the way they came about their business, the way they handled themselves. And sports is great, but at BC I was making $1,000 a month in Boston trying to make things work, and I needed to make a change. And my boss had told me, well, maybe you should talk to the guys at LAZ. So I reached out to Jeff Karp and had a conversation, and he said, "Yep, got an opportunity for you." So I told my parents back in New Mexico that I was going to go work for a parking company. And my dad, who was an athletic director and a high school football coach for 30 years, was like, "No, man, you stay the course. You made this commitment, stay in sports, stay the course." I'm like, "No, I'm going to go be a parking guy." Well, it was Thanksgiving, and we had Syracuse at home, so I couldn't travel, so my parents came out. And my parents, I had to work for a high school football game at the stadium that day. So I gave them my keys to my car. I said, go down Comm Ave, go down, hang out for a few hours, and I'll call you later, and we'll have dinner. An hour later, my dad calls me, and I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong, right? I go, "Is everything okay?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine." He goes, "Hey, I got to ask you a question." He goes, "Is that job with that parking company still available?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Well, your mom and I just parked at the Ritz for an hour and paid $45. Take the bleeping job." And so I had to, I don't know the year, so I'll take bleeping job.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the rest is history. And I took the job, and that was, I started with LAZ, and it was March 21st, 2005 in Boston, in Worcester, Mass. And so I've been with them ever since, and I've moved around the country and ended up in Chicago in 2006.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So your parents encouraged you to be the parking manager.
Yeah, exactly.
After $50 parking.
And the best part was, they were in New Mexico. There's not a lot of paid parking at the time. And every time my dad would go to Albuquerque, we had 2 locations in Albuquerque. He would wear his LAZ Parking shirts around. He'd send me pictures. Look at this parking lot. Do you guys think you manage this one? He's like, he was all in. He was all in at that point. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about, LAZ has a lot of charitable organizations. I know, I've been at the annual meeting. I've seen the way Alan loves to raise money, and he does a great job. And it seems to, in my opinion, LAZ doesn't just walk the walk when it comes. Some people say, oh, well, we're going to write a check, we're going to donate. But you guys really take it to another level. So when we're talking about a tournament like this and raising money for such a good cause, there's a lot of work involved, right? I mean,
there's a ton of work.
Yeah. So
it's funny you say that, because one of our guys from Texas, Jason Groen's here, and Jason's been saying they want to get a golf tournament started down in Texas. And it's like, dude, crawl before you sprint. There's a lot of work that goes involved with these things. And, we started, this is our 11th year. I remember the first year we did it. And again, we chose Special Olympics. They didn't even know we were having the tournament for them, by the way.
Wow.
We just did a tournament. I don't even think we might have had 20 foursomes, and we had a couple sponsors. And I think we cleared like $17,000 and, and change. And we called the folks at Special Olympics because we knew them. And we had lunch, and we handed them a check, and they're like, what's this for? I was like, well, we had a golf tournament with all of our friends and our partners, and this is for you. We want to help. We want to give back. And it started a beautiful relationship with Special Olympics here in Chicago that, today, this is the first year we've actually sold out everything, every sponsorship, every force. And we actually had extra people calling us after last minute. We had to make room for them. And it'll be magical. I think, if everything goes well, depending on how generous people are with the raffle on the course, you're looking $50,000 to $60,000 cleared for the tournament today. And maybe more.
Wow. So
that's incredible.
That is incredible. So $50,000. But again, as I said, you guys put in there's a lot of work. I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning watching your team, set up, running around, doing things. And, most people don't realize there's a lot of work.
Here's the thing too. You talked about LAZ a little bit about, charitable giving. Those that know Alan Lazowski, he's very much about the power of people and the love of people. And we made a decision as a company. It's been about 13 years ago. We always donated money, donated time, but we created the LAZ Charitable Foundation because it was like, well, we need to probably organize this a little bit better. And, we had 5 different individuals in our company do presentations on which national charities should we choose. And we only listened to one. It was Special Olympics. One of our, he's not with us anymore, but one of our, brothers, they talked about his son who had special needs and the power of Special Olympics and what it means to families, and it means to, giving, every person a chance and to be successful. And as a company, we bought in. And that's why we chose Special Olympics here in Chicago. And I didn't know that at the time, but it was founded here in Chicago. So, her name is Ann Burke. She's actually a Supreme Court justice here in the state of Illinois now, but she was a special education teacher for the Chicago Park District who came up with this concept. And she went to Eunice Kennedy and she said, I'll get the money, you organize it. So the former Mayor Daley, when I think he was an attorney general at the time, was driving the buses and moving kids around to the very first Special Olympics that was held at Special Olympics or at Soldier Field. And, now they're in 175 countries, tens of thousands of athletes impacted. And, it's that power of giving back. And I think one of the things that we realize, especially you talk about why we do it, I think 2 things. Number one, we want to be good corporate citizens. I think back to my education about, business ethics and the power of having to give back. And, we may not be from Chicago, but we want to be from here. We want to invest in our communities. And money's one thing, but time's another thing. So, giving time, giving money, and not just doing it once, but doing it consistently. And I think that, when we look at our company and the value we place on people, our employees see that as an opportunity to get involved because it impacts them as well. So that's what makes things awesome, and it makes this fun. It's not a job. This is something that we want to do, and we want to make it bigger, and we want to make it better. And people like you, John, who've for 3 years now stepped in to be the naming sponsor and our partners. We sell this thing out. The sponsorships are sold the week after, people are like, I'm in for next year. Because, we got good people and everybody wants to contribute. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So I we've been participating for 3 years, bring the team down. Yeah. It's a good time. I think what's great, each year, first of all, each year that I've been here, it's gotten better and better. Yeah. But I love when we go off from the tournament and there's the national anthem. Yeah. Sung by, one of the Special Olympic athletes. Fun. And it's just, it's incredible. And so, the moment that you guys, when the dust settles and the tournament's over, what do you guys do? Tell us. I mean, what's when you get the check? Is there like a moment where you bring the check? Or
you know what? We don't need a lot of pomp and circumstance. So right. we literally wait. We have to get all the bills paid, and then we call our home office, and they say, "Here's what the net is," and they literally send us a check. Right. And we call the folks that we work with the Special Olympics. They actually asked me to be part of the board. So I've been on the board of Special Olympics Chicago now the last couple of years. We'll call them and be like, all right, let's go to lunch. Right. We'll sit there at lunch and we'll, just catch up on things, and we'll hand them an envelope and give them a hug and say thank you. And we can't wait for next year. So there's no, we don't need any photo credit and like that. Right. It's just that's it. And then, there's a lot of work gets involved here. You mentioned, you see the team that's running around here. Very fortunate. Mackenzie Albertson, Jordan Ratu, Kevin O'Hara, Marlon J. These are people that are, have committed. We're on a call every week, and we start usually around March, February to start working on things. They're the ones making it all happen.
Wow. So the tournament's in September and you start working on it in February. That's like I said, there's so much work that goes into something like this to be able to pull off what you guys pull off. I mean, when you get here, it's you can totally see it. So
well, I think what's been great is the first year we did it. And I can't tell you something that I love about this event is, we open it up to, we have clients that come in, I have clients that fly in from other cities to be here. We have people from LAZ that are here from all over the country this year, which is great. We have, partners and vendors that we work with all over the country. We also have some of our competitors every year that play in the event. And, it's like people, our business is like, you can be competitors, but we're all friends. Right. And, it's the power of human connectedness, and they come, and it's really cool to see that we all lean in, and, they've been here every year. We see them out there. So it's great.
We can all be competitors, but at the same time, when we have a great cause to show up for, that's what brings us all together. And I think that that's what's wonderful about our industry, is that we all can come together no matter what.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think, Dani and I have shared that on other shows, Wild Turkey Wednesday, all kinds of things that we've talked about where competitors would get together, and what a great moment for competitors to get together for a good cause.
Absolutely.
So what other charities? Because I know, again, as I said at the LAZ annual meeting, it was amazing to see. Probably within 10 minutes, I think Al raised like $100,000 for. I think it was some children. There was
Dr. Bill Nowak.
In Ukraine, who was going over and doing procedures for children that were injured during the bombings.
Yeah. So, if you think about LAZ's reach, we've actually, tried to, put our arms around to say, how impactful have we been? And if you look back to when we started the LAZ Charitable Foundation, and just the money that's been raised and donated to the foundation since its inception, it's in excess of $10 million. Wow. And those are going to national charities of choice. There's also going to local charities. And, and I'll answer your question in a second about some of our charities, but, we have a theme this year that is create opportunity, create unity as a company, with the thought process that we want to give every opportunity to our employees to really enjoy their professional life. And creating opportunity doesn't mean they become the next CEO of LAZ. It means, hey, if we want to, sponsor, a school or a charity in your neighborhood, or we want to do something through work, and that way people can really, lean in where they can. And we feel like by creating those, that array of opportunities to get involved, it creates unity in our company.
Right.
And when it comes to charity, when we talk to our teams, we ask them like, hey, who can we help? So, nationally, you've got, Special Olympics, of course. There's an organization called 10 by 3 run by an amazing, beautiful woman, Teresa Carrington in St. Louis. And what she does is, she has gone into villages in Africa, and now she's in probably, I think, 4 or 5 countries. and she finds these villages that live in poverty, and she helps them. They have a craft. They can make baskets. They can make goods, but they were getting cheated on the fair. People would buy them for a dime, and they come to the United States and sell them for $50. So what she does is she has created a program. You have to opt into the program to get into the program. You have such a period of time. She buys their baskets at a fair price. She brings them to America. She sells them, and there's a cool story connected to the baskets. But then her program, you can only be in the program so long because the money you raise, you then have to take the money and invest into 3 other businesses, so that you basically become a self-sustaining, and you invest back into your villages. And so that's what it's called, 10 by 3. And she's had impact on people's lives. And, she's had impact on my life. I've got to visit her store down in St. Louis, and she continues to go around the world. And we raised money for her and her cause. And we did one year, one of the things, it wasn't even helping these villages and these people, kind of get on their feet. It was, there's a village that doesn't have a school. They have this building. There's no windows. When it rains, it floods. They can't go to school. So LAZ built them a school.
Wow.
We raised the money, built them the school, give them the desks. So now, rain or shine, these kids can go to school and get educated. In the videos, first of all, I'm a big softy, John. Danny, right. I cry a lot. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And you see this stuff, and I just the tears start streaming. So that's one of the organizations we support nationally and internationally. Dr. Bill Nowak, he's an unsung hero. He doesn't, again, you don't hear about this guy, and he literally has a team of private doctors and physicians, and he travels into war-torn countries, and he does emergency heart surgery, I believe, on children who can't get access to care. No cost. He does it himself. He tries to get people in. When we raised the money, he was going into Ukraine.
Yeah.
And we raised, 150. I think we had to probably raise a couple $100,000 when it was all said and done. And it went straight to him, and we talked to him, and he said with the funds, we were able to save 10 children's lives. So, it's the impact that the company does. And what's amazing is, again, it's the power of human connectedness. It's not one person that's doing it. It's everybody's doing it. It's like, if you can donate $10,000, God bless. If you can donate $10, God bless. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's everybody being in the same boat, rowing the same direction, and having an impact.
And that's why I wanted to, that's why I thought doing the show from this tournament was so important, because again, it's not like I don't see LAZ around the country walking around wanting to be, in the spotlight, showed, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that for charity. But when you're on the outside, like I am, looking in, you can see a difference, and it's not a bunch of people walking around, taking a photo, dropping a check. I mean, it's people actually working. And so it's incredible.
Yeah.
And this particular tournament is just a snapshot, I'm sure, at least from what I've seen. So it's kind of like, LAZ walks the walk when it comes to raising money and charity.
Can I tell you something too? This is something I'm really proud of our team for, because you can always raise funds and donate money, but I think time is another thing that that is very valuable to us as individuals. And if you give your time, as long as it's meaningful, I think you can have a massive impact. And we had done some surveys at the end of the year of like what we can do as a company to be better. And, one of the things that came out was, we do stuff like this outing, and we do, charitable, things are all over the place, not on a whim, but, we'll support this, we'll support that. And as leaders here in the Midwest, we said, let's put our heads together. And Todd Rosen, who's one of our great leaders, worked with Mackenzie Albertson and a few team and came up with this concept, which we're doing next Wednesday, the 12th, next Tuesday. We're calling it the Midwest Day of Giving. And each general manager, each RVP, each market, the goal is we're taking a cut of our day, 4 to 8 hours, and we are all at the same time going around the Midwest, and we're going to be supporting various charities. So next week I'm going to be in Cincinnati with our team, and we're going to go to the Ronald McDonald House and spend 4 hours just donating our time and spending time with those families, and who are either serving meals or hanging out with the kids that are there recovering, and just giving our time to help those that need a little love.
Right.
We're gonna do it as an aligned team across the Midwest. And at the end of the day, there's no pictures and notoriety needed. It's just a high five and like, job well done.
Right. I again, when you come to a place like this and you see, you can see the effort that's gone into it, and it's just thank you very much. It's Yeah. There's other things too. In being at the LAZ annual, the family reunion. There's other stories within the organization. You guys really give people opportunities. Why don't you tell, I know there's probably so many, but there's so many good stories. And I think each year you guys highlight some of those stories, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in general, like people internal in the organization or external, I mean, there's amazing stories in the organization. And even a couple of guys that are here, there's one, I saw one gentleman outside who was setting up the snacks, and I don't know if the other guys could be here, but when I opened the office here in Chicago in 2006, the first two guys that I hired are still with us. Bertram Clark and Hector Barbosa. And Hector was at the Millennium Garages. He was basically working in there as one of our lead maintenance guys, porters. He's now the general manager of Chicago Parking Meters, which is, arguably one of the biggest and most complex on-street parking systems in the country.
That's amazing.
And then, Bertram Clark was an assistant manager, and he's one of our senior project managers in Chicago. And, those guys bleed the LAZ blue, and they do great things, and they have an impact. And, I'm just proud of them. I'm proud that, I get to work them and have them as part of my life. So, that's just a couple of stories to see here, but everyone's got a story, that you walk around the ranks here. But yeah, as it relates to the outreach and the charitable giving around the country, some of the cool things that we do, our guys and girls in California, they do a big golf outing for Special Olympics, but they also do a big plane pull where they raise money, and they go out there and they'll pull a 747 so far, and they raise money that way. And we've done Tough Mudders. Steve Gresh and his teams in Ohio did a bunch of Tough Mudders to raise money that way. And, golf tournaments are, a great, easy way to do things. Denver, we always, with the Denver Broncos, right around Thanksgiving, our team will donate a couple days and sit there in the cold weather and hand out, Thanksgiving in a box meals to those who are unfortunately don't have the means to buy a meal. We'll donate the meals to them.
Right.
One of the things I think is really cool, I have my Midwest team here, we meet twice a year and kind of strategically to go through, mid-year and end-of-year planning. And we looked at the agenda. We spent 2.5 days together, and we purposefully added the extra half a day where wherever market we're in, we give back to the regions. So like in Denver Rescue Mission, we'll go serve meals and donate some cash to them, So, we were at the Cleveland Food Bank for a day, packing meals for senior citizens who, depend on that meal each day to come and be showed up. So there's just a variety of ways we give back.
Yeah. Again, I think it starts internally though, right? Yeah. You guys have a culture that's, it seems employees first. If I had to vision it, sitting, I vision you guys sitting in a conference room with your your line employees sitting at the conference table with the leaders sitting around the table, right?
The way we look at it, it's the upside down triangle. It's true servant leadership. And the vision we have is, we're not a parking company. We're not a tech company. We're a people company.
Right.
We just happen to park cars, and I think we do a pretty good job of it. And we're doing other stuff out there too. But the mindset is traditional organizations are a pyramid. The CEO sits at the top, and everything flows downhill, if you will. And a pyramid, can't fall over the way it's structured. So we take the pyramid and we turn it on at the top. So it's actually an upside down pyramid. And the CEO is at the bottom, and the most important people are at the top. Those are our frontliners. And if you think about that, if you're not fully aligned from the CEO to the front line, if you're not communicating, if you're not sharing love, if not everybody's on the same page, you're going to fall. You're going to break.
Right.
And so it's true servant leadership, upside down pyramid. And listen, it does start with Alan Lazowski and Mike Kuziak and Michael Harth and Jeff Carpenter. Those are the four founders. And this is, and it even starts beyond that. I think a lot of people have heard the story about Alan's parents, and the love and the give back, and Alan talks about the power of human connectedness.
Right.
And if we run an organization and we put people at the top, and are we perfect? No, we make mistakes, but we correct them, and we're always focused on doing right for people.
Right.
And if you do that, and you give, you get back tenfold. And people will be there forever, and they'll gut it through you, and you'll have 20-year careers with the company, and they'll do amazing things. But we had this aha moment probably about 5-6 years ago, and everybody was always relying on Alan or Kuz or JK or Michael to be the ones to come in and rally the team and bring in the mojo, and then leave, and then and then we would do our thing. And we created a theme that year called Own the Mojo. And the reality of that, hey, we can't rely on 4 people. I looked at myself in the mirror and my colleagues, like, it's our job.
Right.
And then the guys and girls that work with me, it's their jobs. It's like, it's our jobs to do this. We know what it is. We know what it feels like to be part of it. I mean, I could tell you some stories of the impact that this company's had on me and why I've been here for 20 years. I'm not going anywhere. Like just when my father got sick and what they did and how the company showed up, I'm like, I've never felt that way and that much appreciation from an organization. And it does make, your work life enjoyable.
Right.
So
I think it's kind of cool. And again, when you have your charitable foundation is so powerful and you can see that it comes from a culture within, from the LAZ employees. And back to what I said, I mean, you guys are pretty courageous because sometimes, some of these stories that I've heard over the years, you take chances on, you lift people literally off the street and give them a job. Right. So I think there's a story with the LAZ headquarters and the doorman. Right.
Yeah. Well, we, in Hartford, we started it. We've actually done it in a couple other markets, but it's a second chance program where, we have a couple of great leaders, Willie Cordero, Patrice Howell, who have been with LAZ a long time. And, Willie's got an amazing story of, as he calls himself, he was the head street pharmacist for a while in his life. Right. And, he in LAZ helped him find his true calling and help him, get on the right track. And Jim Marzi and the leader, who, if you guys don't know Jim Marzi, he's one of the best people you ever meet in your entire life. I love Jimmy to death. Love you, Jimmy. Jimmy took him under his wing and Patrice and helped him. And he saw the power of what, he tells the story. If it wasn't for LAZ, I'd be dead.
Wow.
And now he's one of our great leaders. And he, he's a preacher in his church. And what they've done is they've reached out to, I think it's one of the prisons there in Hartford and identified, incarcerated people who, made a bad choice, and we've worked with them. And as they've, been released, we've given people a second chance.
Right.
And they've come to work for us. And, listen, I'd love to say we've had 100% success. There's been a few that didn't quite make it, but I'd say you're probably 85% success of people figuring it out, getting their life back on, seeing the light, and they're still with us and they're doing amazing things. And now they're the ones saying, hey, I want to help other people.
Right.
And again, power of human connectedness.
And that gets back to, what I was saying, the theme of this, is kind of walk the walk. Right. Yep. And so, if you're an organization and you're actually outreaching to prisons to hire people, that's walking the walk, right? Yeah. Giving people a second chance. Yeah. And I think it's great. And again, I've been, going to the annual meetings for several years now, and some of the stories, it's just, it's amazing to me.
It is.
So,
it is.
It's incredible to be a part of an industry where companies like LAZ will participate in the second chance program, where there are other companies, not just necessarily in our industry, but don't even think twice, right, about it. And they're like, no, like prison, you have a history. Absolutely not. So this is wonderful to hear.
Yeah. I mean, listen, people are people. Sometimes they just need a hand. And,
absolutely.
Unfortunately, and I think that's part of the charitable piece is there's a lot of people that need some support. And, we feel fortunate that, be working for a company and, with people where we are fortunate. It's like, we feel like it's our obligation to help.
Right.
So, as Al says, when you give, you get back tenfold, and you get people to come back and they make the magic happen, man. So.
Right. So, what's on the horizon for the golf tournament? I know we just, you switched, courses like a couple of years ago, right?
So this is our third course. And by the way, I like to golf. I'm not a great golfer, but I like to golf. I'm a social golfer, John.
Right.
And this is my favorite. Cantini is my favorite public golf course, probably everywhere I played, especially in the Chicagoland. The people out here are fantastic. The story about the lands out here, they were donated. They were, I don't know if the story right, but they were owned by, I think it was the editor of the Tribune way back in the day, and they donated the lands. And there's this beautiful golf course, and then next to it, this beautiful public lands with old buildings, and there's peacocks walking around. It's beautiful out here. But we started out in a place called Glen Eagles because it was the only course that we could afford when we started. Right. And again, with voice of how do we make it better? And everybody had said this was a great course. They had some great food, but they had great course, it's fun, but they didn't have a range. So we moved to Silver Lakes Country Club because they had a range. And they did
gotta have a range.
Gotta have a range.
Gotta have a range. Right, Danny?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a range.
Well, and it allowed us to create the range sponsors. We actually raised money too by having the range.
I need a range, Danny.
that's where I would be.
Yeah. But we decided for the 10th, because this is our 11th year. It's our 12th year, but we skipped COVID, unfortunately. We got right back on the horse in 2021 or 2022, I don't remember. But we said for our 10th, we got to go bigger. And we had called out here, and just miraculously, they had a day in September that worked for us last year. It was a little bit later. We booked it, and the feedback from everybody was like, wow, what an amazing experience, amazing course. And every year we try to do something a little different. We have our team in from Chicago, from Hartford, our videographer and drones. So we're going to be doing some drone footage and some different videos just to kind of document the event. We got some different fun things on the course, some different swag, and it's all good, man. These cool hats are going to be given out. Everybody's another cool LAZ hat. So I need a cool LAZ hat.
John,
is there a PRS logo on it?
Bring me some stuff back.
Well, there's the LAZ hats, but we also, rather than giving out shirts and everything, we did Yeti Ramblers this year that have the PRS logos on them.
Nice.
So we'll have those for the cocktail hour afterwards. So
if I don't get one, John, I'm going to be upset.
I will bring you back one, Danny. What am I getting from Italy?
Yeah, come on.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh, look at her.
You'll both get your gift at MPA, right? MPA.
There you go.
And I forgot to mention, because we've done a show on my birthday. It's somebody else's birthday. Happy birthday, Danny!
Happy birthday, Danny!
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a special day.
So I'll still bring you something back, even though it's my birthday. Don't worry.
Well,
I'm very charitable too. I love to give back.
Love it.
So this is a public course. I thought
this is a public course.
Wow.
Yeah. Can I tell you the coolest thing about this course?
Beautiful. Like, I thought it was a private country club.
This is a public course, and what's great about it is people always tell me, the Learning Academy, the Teaching Academy is great. And they go, it's great for kids. So, I was out here years ago, and I was asking. I went down to the Learning Academy. I'm like, so where do the kids go? They go, well, they go to the kids course. I'm like, where's the kids course? I go, well, you go out the gates and to the left. So I did. There's another golf course over here. It's called Youth Links, and it's designed only for kids. So if I wanted to book a tee time and take my kids out there, I wouldn't be allowed to go. My son could call and book a tee time and bring me as his guest.
So is that it's shorter?
The whole.
Okay, Danny, I'm golfing on the kids course today. And I'm going to come in with a hell of a score. You watch.
Can't wait to look at those scores later.
Yeah, I'm going to win the tournament. Oh, wait. Caveat, I was on the kids course.
John, I've played with you. I still don't think you're going to win. So
I know. I don't have a chance.
So next year, what we'll do is we'll sponsor the kids course. That's our goal, Tony.
There you go.
We'll sponsor the kids.
The John and Danny show, the kids course.
At the Youth Links. There you go. Yeah. It's pretty cool to do here. So, yeah. Yeah, but no, this is a great place. This is one of the storied golf courses here in Chicago. So, and it's close to my house too, so I can drive home fast.
Easy. You don't have to wake up as early.
Yeah.
Are you north or south?
I'm east of here.
East of here,
yeah,
okay.
In Elmhurst.
So where the tournament was before, that was pretty far away, right?
Well, I moved during COVID, so when I lived in Burr Ridge, it was closed. I might choose the places strategically to how close I am to my house. So,
right?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the bonus of being able to do that. So
yeah, go ahead, Danny.
So yeah, Tony, this is what your second year at this golf course.
Yep.
Do you think next year you guys you'll still run the same course, no pun intended, but for next year, the third year? And then do you ever see yourself changing in the future? Or is this the future of the LAZ charity golf tournament?
Yeah, so I don't see us leaving anytime soon. What we typically do is we'll ask the people that play in the outing, hey, what'd you think? We'll get a feedback. And if people don't like the course or it gets stale or something changes, then we'll move it. But again, this is one of the better run places here, so I doubt that being the case. So I see us being here for the foreseeable future. So, and again, the staff and the people out here have been so accommodating. They do an outstanding job. So we'd love to support them.
So I think we're going to make sure that there's a waiting list for years to come.
Hey,
so your sponsor board is pretty full. So I think we're gonna double that thing.
Well, each year we add a few extra things in. This year, typically there's always one or two things. Maybe a hole didn't sell or this didn't sell. And this year, everything sold out. We were on our call and they're like, everything sold. And I'm like, everything? They go, yeah, we actually have people asking for foursomes, and we try not to like pack the tees because we want it to be enjoyable.
Right.
So we had to tell people, sorry, we don't have space this year.
That is great. Yeah. And you know what, that, you know, for me, a business guy, that's, you know, I mean, obviously the goal is to raise as much money as you can for the charity.
Yeah.
And so that's opportunity, the way I look at it.
Well, you know, I tell you, we play in all these tournaments, right? And I've played in a few that, you know, the foursomes are very expensive. So you have to budget for those, and you go there, it's a good experience, but it's like, it feels very, what's what I'm looking for? Just, it's the same thing, plug and play, rinse and repeat. So we every year we look at it like we might raise the prices a little bit, but we still try to keep it where, you know, foursomes are affordable, you know, sponsorships aren't too outrageous. But we try to like continue to give quality, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you know, drinks on the course. You don't have to worry about this. Then we have the cocktail hour and lots of swag and give it back. So we want people to go, wow, there was value for the day. And then to sit back and go, by the way, we did this amazing thing and was part of this amazing thing. And, you know, and it was a quality. It wasn't just another golf tournament. It was actually a very quality event. That's what we strive for. So.
Danny, did you hear that? There's a cocktail hour.
Which you can't wait to get to, John. I know that.
Not me. No way.
There's a Bloody Mary bar too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's also a raffle. You know, I when I was setting up, Seth and I were setting up, there's an incredible prizes too.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of giveaways.
Yeah. We get a lot of the stuff donated, but then we also take a chunk of the budget and we go and we try to buy as, you know, a bunch of cool gear as we can. I mean, the first couple of years we were handing out like, you know, folding chairs and stuff that had Chicago Bears on it. I'm not a Bears fan, by the way. And we just said we got to up it a little bit. So, you know, we spend some money. We try to buy kind of the cool stuff that people want now. And
I see some pretty heavy duty grills over there.
Grills, some Yetis, you know, all kinds of different things. The Chicago Bears, like we have some friends at the Bears, and I've known them for a long time. We'll send them a note, and they always send us an autograph something. So there's some autographed gear over there. So
Danny, maybe I'll win the raffle, and you'll get the grill. I'll give it to you.
For my birthday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know that
I'm re-gifting your birthday present?
Do you know last year we had two of those the Blackstone flat top grills. We had two of them in the raffle.
That's amazing.
And they were won by Kendall and Jake, both from Denver.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know.
So then we had to figure out how to
Which I think Kendall sold hers to Joe.
Oh my God! Really? She sold it?
Yeah. I think so.
Well, there's Kendall for you.
Yeah. But the thing is like, because there's some people that fly in, they're like, can you guys ship these to us? So I'm like, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go online and I'm going to order you one and ship it to your house. I'm going to return these two versus having to go to FedEx.
I do remember something like that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So
but again, we want it to be a quality event. You want people to walk out of here and say, wow, that was good. We had it very memorable. We got a lot of good stuff, and I want to come back next year, which is why we'll send a note out a week or two after and say if anybody's interested. And most of the sponsorships are already sold for 2024. People will say, I'm in for next year.
Well, if you got room for the podcast, and I think Danny's already committed us to some kind of sponsorship. So
there you go.
I have. Yeah, that's our goal. We're committing goals, but also giving back is very important to me too. I grew up doing it. I actually volunteer for the Denver Rescue as well. Tony out of Denver. Yeah. I'm a mentor. I'm a mentor. I have a mentee. I do I usually try to serve a meal on Thanksgiving if I'm in town. So it's very important to me.
It is.
So I have committed us to a great cause, and I think that this is wonderful. And it's, seeing that such a big company is so dedicated to giving back, not only to their community, like their local communities, but as a whole. I think it's wonderful. So
it's awesome.
If for next year, 2024, any help that you guys need, I'm volunteering John and I to help step up and step in.
So I think you should mark your calendar. Then you're not going to Italy, at least not in September.
Yeah.
Just let's not do it on September 7th.
Well, if we
unless that's a running date,
maybe we could raise some money. We'll find the podcast sponsor for next year.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
So
great.
There we go. I like it. So
Anyways, well, Tony, thank you. I know you're busy. Thank you for coming and sharing some this moment with us and before the tournament. And again, congratulations to you on the success of this charity and this tournament for 11 years. It's amazing. So,
well, thank you guys.
Running.
That's it. Well, again, thank you both for, first of all, John, PRS for always being here, being great partners in this event. Dani, thank you for being here and let me talk, a little bit about what we do and why we do it. I don't know. It kind of makes life sweet when you can do it with friends and partners, and we can all give back and look back at what we've done, and that's what it's all about. So, love you guys. And thanks for being here. So.
We love you too, man.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.
Thank you.
Good luck out there today, guys.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank
all
you.
Right. Thanks, Dani. Enjoy your vacation. Bye.
Okay, so we're back here. We're still at the golf tournament. We interviewed Tony DiPaolo earlier today for a special cause, the LAZ golf tournament in Chicago. That's been 11th annual for the Chicago Special Olympics. And we have with us James Skinny Sheehan.
Correct.
Yes. And he represents Special Olympics of Illinois. Or Chicago. And, Skinny, this is, we've been participating in this as a sponsor for the last probably 3 or 4 years. And just wanted to get your perspective on how because LAZ is a special organization that, raises a lot of money for charities across the country. And so on the other side of it, this event that your organization benefits, wanted to get kind of how you met LAZ and Tony and the group and how this golf tournament has been going on for 11 years. And it's such a successful tournament. I mean, I've watched it for the last 3 or 4 years get bigger and bigger. It's for such a great cause. So,
yeah, John, I met Tony through the mayor's office. I worked for Mayor Daley for a very long time. And when they brought LAZ into do the parking.
The Chicago meters.
Yeah, it was so screwed up. Not them. They fixed it. And
everybody hear that? LAZ fixed it.
They did. They took care of it. I mean, it was, and I remember I knew the people in the budget department, the city. It was ridiculous, the parking in the city, and they've really done a lot of upgrading and done a great thing for the city of Chicago. It's very important to the budget of the city. But in the meantime, they're a great corporate partner, and they've been involved with different groups and organizations. But Tony DiPaolo, I met Tony, and we got together and we talked about Special Olympics in Chicago. I'm a board member there. I'm like the head of the development for Special Olympics in Chicago. And Chicago is the city where Special Olympics began in 1968. And we're all around the world now. And the Shrivers,
right?
Eunice Shriver, President Kennedy's sister, was very influential, along with Mayor Daley and Ann Burke from the city of Chicago. So it's grown. But we have probably 4,500 athletes in Chicago, and about 75% of them are below the poverty level. So we have a situation where what we do in Chicago, because of partners like LAZ, we are able to do these things in these difficult communities, because we transport them, we feed them, we we do the programs with the Chicago Park District and the Chicago Public Schools. We've got kind of a unique setup here in Chicago. We're very proud of what we do, but we could never do what we do for these athletes without support from partners like LAZ.
So that's amazing, because we talked earlier today. We did an interview with Tony, as you may or may not know, this morning with the podcast. And we do have a co-host who's in Italy that did the show this morning, but it's unfortunately 2 a.m. She's the better part of the show, but she's in Italy sleeping, unfortunately. But so, showing this is what I discussed with Tony earlier today. It's like LAZ does all these charities, and it's kind of like the walk the walk.
Right.
And most people don't realize how much work actually goes into putting something like a tournament like this on and other things. And it's great to get your perspective to see on the other side what actually all that work and how it affects the people. So it's I'm so glad and appreciative that you came on.
Yeah, well, Tony and the people from LAZ, first of all, this is a fantastic golf course. It's like the number 3 golf course in the state of Illinois. And to have all these people come out and they have a great time,
right?
But they're raising money for a really important cause. And Tony and his staff are amazing. They leave nothing to chance. Everything is so organized. He's got everybody out here. Everybody, they come in from all around the country, and you guys do a fabulous job.
Yeah, we had a whole team. Our team came in from Denver. Our producers from Denver. So, I mean, I love this tournament. I loved the we talked about the national anthem.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So we talked about it this morning, and then today
she belted it out.
What a national anthem that was! That was
it was
incredible.
One of our athletes. Yeah, she was fabulous, and we always have some athletes come out here. They love it, and we have our staff come out, and but the people are very generous, and the important thing that everybody has to know is we would not be able to do the things we do in Chicago. And there's a lot of great charities, and I'm not putting any charities down, but we would not be able to do all the good things that we do with the athletes. In our situation, Special Olympics is extremely important because they come from real difficult situations, and then on top of it, they're special. You know what I mean? So it's complicated, but this is great, and everybody has a great time here. They have so many. Well,
I've never. I mean, this tournament. I've been to a lot of golf tournaments, but I mean, to go and you get breakfast, you get lunch, you get dinner. I mean, and the prizes are out of this world.
Unbelievable.
So today, Tony was telling us about sold out. So for those of you listening in the parking industry, this is like a waiting list now. If you want to come to Chicago and participate in the Special Olympics and this cause and this tournament, get on the list.
Yes, you get on it early too. Because
get on it early.
This is the earliest they ever had it sold out, but it's a great time. It's fun. You don't have to be a great golfer. You can come out here and have a few laughs.
So do you have any other, does the Special Olympics of Chicago, do you have other events with LAZ?
Well, they help us out with anything that we do. We do a polar plunge where we have 5,000 people jump into the lake. That's our biggest fundraiser. We got to break the ice out of Lake Michigan.
When does that take place?
It's the end of February, the beginning of March.
Okay. So I'm a New York Irish guy. From Lake George in upstate New York. So we have a polar plunge every year. You go into the lake, and it's at the Winter Carnival, and it's it's not really a charity, but it's cold.
Yes, it is cold, and
it worries a guy like me now. I'm in my 50s, so jumping into that cold water, you never know what'll happen, right?
I'm in my 70s, and your heart only stops for a couple minutes when you go under the water, and then after that, they usually can revive you. You know what I mean?
Right. We'll have an ambulance standing by.
Right.
So, anyway.
But anytime we've asked LAZ for anything above and beyond the golf tournament, Tony and his crew have been great to us.
Well, that was kind of why we wanted our show here, because again, we kind of highlighted this morning, LAZ is an organization. There's a lot of people that talk about charity and they stand up and they may write a check, but LAZ actually walks the walk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the work, again, I'll stress this because I stressed it earlier this morning, but the work that goes into an event like this, Tony was describing, it starts in February. They start February and March. They start planning. And so it's so wonderful to see and the success, and then to have you on to kind of describe to the viewers and the listeners of the effect that it has on the organization. That's great.
Well, it really has a big effect, and like I said, there's a lot of good charities. And I've worked with a lot of good charities through the city and stuff like that. But this is super. And we couldn't do what we do without the help that we get from organizations like LAZ. And it's a lot of fun. We try to have fun too.
Well, that's great. And thanks, Kenny
Thank
Sheehan,
you.
for being on. And we talked about this before, but my brother-in-law my sister is a Sheehan, so Boston Sheehan. Yeah.
They're probably related somewhere back in Ireland, you know.
Yeah.
I have 8 brothers and sisters, and it's a long story.
And my dad has 14 brothers and sisters. We're Conways from New York, so yeah, we're probably somewhere along the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It all goes back, you know.
Well, thank you very much.
All right,
and thank you for all your work.
John, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right.